Hey guys, this is Gloria Ward, and once again, we are back for our I'm Loving Me webinar series. And for this month of March, which is Women's History Month, we've been hitting you hard with so many interviews because we have been finding so many wonderful women who have been doing some great things, not only nationally, but internationally, and really putting themselves out there to really change the face and the stigma of how women are portrayed, how they are seen, how they can get their sexy back, and now really how they can really live their life after trauma or after something has really happened to them that they feel that they can't come back from. And I have an amazing woman tonight. Her name is Janelle Marie Pierce. Say hi, Janelle.
Hello, 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 hello. Thank you so much for having me.
And she's going to talk about something that is just a little bit what we call taboo that most of us don't want to talk about. And that is, STDs. And the reason why I wanted her to be here is because it is still sort of a taboo in this day and age. And I just don't understand why. But she is the expert and she's going to give us some insight. And so, Janelle, one of the things that we do in our community is that, we try to inspire, or we will inspire 1 million women to love themselves. And all of the stuff that you're doing, that's really like a big part of it. So just explain to us some of the stuff that you're doing and how long you've been doing it and a little bit about yourself.
Oh, first of all, I just love the project that you're working on. I think it is so necessary, phenomenal. I think that is, it seems like so simple, but it is one of the hardest things to do day in and day out. Our culture does not encourage us to love ourselves for who we are just naturally. I mean, there's all these products and media and everything saying how we can improve and always better and be some other version of who we actually are. And it's just, I think it is the most sincere act of like bravery every single day that we get up out of bed, we look ourselves in the mirror and say, girl, you got this. Like, I am amazing. I am powerful. I am kind and caring. You don't necessarily, to be strong, you can be also soft at the same time. I mean, so I just love the energy that you're putting out there, because I think that women are always pitted against each other, especially too, so, and it makes it so hard. Like, it's so much better when you have this like tribe of other women saying, yes, you go and you got this. And I uplift you and all of that. So that said, so my official titles are I'm the executive director of the STDproject.com, the spokesperson for positivesingles.com, the founder of the Herpes Activist Network, and that is called HANDS, which stands for Herpes Activist Networking to Dismantle Stigma. And then I have a couple of little smaller hats, like some freelance writing and stuff. I write for Pornhub's Sexual Wellness Center and a bunch of other places. Yeah, Allure and ExoJane are some of my current bylines. But yeah, so I've been doing this for 7 years. 7 years ago, I launched the STD Project. And then some of those other roles and titles came in as a result of this work that I've been doing. But I've been doing this full time. I used to be an accountant, and it speaks a lot to your project, because I was at a point in my life where I had really a great, healthy, stable, and supportive relationship. And I was successful professionally. I had obtained education and done well that way. I had a multitude of like supportive friends and family around me. So I really just had this amazing network, and I felt really good about myself. I felt like I was in this enlightened place. But it's crazy because after 7 years of doing this work, I've come even that much further, and there's still so much more that I learn every day, so I guess that's great because we keep growing. But anyway, yeah. And so at that 7-year point, like 7 years ago from now, I was like, I feel like there's something more I can be doing. So I'm living with genital herpes. That's why I run the STD Project. That's why I founded the Herpes Activist Network. I got it when I was 16 years old. And I was told, and like society, media, culture, comics, I mean, it's the butt of every joke and things. Yeah. I was told that like, nope, I'm dirty, I'm trashy, I'm damaged goods, I'm tainted. I'm being punished by God. I mean, all of these horrible things that really did not actually represent how I felt about myself. Like for a long time, I really did internalize it. And I really thought, well, this must be true. I must be this awful, terrible, junky, trashy, dirty person. And then I finally came full circle and said, wait a minute, like this doesn't make any sense. Like I like me, I like where I'm going. Like, of course, I always want to keep growing and learning and things, but I don't feel that way about myself. So why isn't this reconciling? Like, why is what society says about people who have STIs in quotes, why is that not matching up with how I see myself?
I think it's like, because you feel like you know, and it's an old school mentality. You want to keep everything in the closet. You know what I'm saying? So when a person actually comes out and they say that they are living with something or they have something, immediately you are judged, or you become that person, and you're immediately separated from everyone else. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah, totally. Yeah, you're sick as your secrets is what they say, you know, like those skeletons. And that's what I thought too. I was like, I don't want anybody to be able to use this against me. Right. And I don't want to give them the power. I want to take the power back. If I own my experience and my story, and now, mind you, I've come to this kind of conclusion lately that's really interesting. And it's, I don't know, maybe it's actually not that interesting, but it's just where I'm at mentally. Is I've realized too that me being able to be very public about my STI status and to advocate in the way that I do in such an out there kind of manner is also a result of my privilege. Like, not everybody is able to just own their secrets and tell everything that they have ever done that they're taught to be shameful about, you know? So I want to honor that, or at least acknowledge that, like, not everyone is there, can do it, and it's not safe for everybody to do that. So, but I was in a place, like I said, I had an established great support network and resources and things like that, to where I was like, you know what, the risk isn't that great. And I just want to overcome this. I want to get to a place where no one can throw it in my face again. And people still, every once in a while, like I'll still hear crappy things, but it's nothing I've not heard before. Right. And I get to choose how I feel about myself. They can say that all day long, like, go help yourself, you know, like whatever. I mean, that's everyone's prerogative. If somebody wants to believe that about me, then let them believe that about me. But that doesn't mean that I have to believe that about me.
And so the question is how did you get to that point? What made you decide, you know what, I don't really care what nobody says? Because there's so many women that I know personally who are like, I'm just not ready, because I don't want people in my business, and then, you know, like you said, that they're going to use it against me, or the biggest thing is they're going to start to treat me differently. So when was it that you made that decision, that you was like, you know, fuck it, basically, I'm going to go ahead and, you know, take my power back and use this? Like, how long did it take you?
Man, it took me years and years and years. Like I was 16 when I was diagnosed, and I didn't really tell anybody for the longest time. I told my best friend at the time, and then she like let it out and shared with a bunch of people who I did not allow or give permission. Right. And so that kind of gave me that whole, like, I can't tell anyone kind of experience. And if, you know, the person I'm supposed to trust, my doctor shamed me at the time. So I thought, you know, all these people who you think you're supposed to trust and are going to be empathetic aren't, then that means like nobody will ever be cool about this. And so when I launched the STD project, I was 29. So what was that, like 15 years later? Yeah. And I was in a place where I had told quite a few people by the time I was 29, but it definitely wasn't a public thing. And I have to be honest, like, it's an ongoing, continuous work every day, because I don't get, you know, and I wouldn't have known this without trying. Like, I just got to the point where I was exactly like, fuck this. I'm just going to take this giant leap and I'm going to see what happens. And because I decided that I believed in what I wanted to do with this so much, and I thought that I believed that I could help someone, even if I could only help a few people, that to me was worthwhile enough so that I could, I guess, take the power back, like I said already. But I didn't know, I really did anticipate there would be like tons of people with negative, nasty comments and trolls and stalkers. For a long time, I didn't even use my last name. I just used my first and middle name.
Gotcha.
And for that very reason, because my parents were really nervous when I finally told them what I was going to start doing. And,
Yeah.
all of this apprehension and assuming that it was going to be really negative. And while every once in a while, I do get some negative things thrown at me, it's very rare. I get largely so many positive, so much positive feedback. Like, are constantly sharing their secrets and their stories with me. And it's not even always like STD, herpes related.
Right.
And oftentimes people are like, oh my gosh, like I've really wanted to try anal sex. I mean, stuff like questions that I'm not even necessarily an expert in, but it's stuff that people are made to feel uncomfortable about our sexuality, being interested in trying new things, especially when it comes to your sexuality and just like owning new experiences and feeling like you can advocate for yourself and how to do that. And so I get a lot of even those kinds of questions. And I have become inadvertently, without knowing that I was going to do this specifically, but I've become like a safe space for people with all of those.
I was
With
about
any
to say
kind of
that.
situation.
You became the safe space where, now, even if I can't tell anyone, at least I can tell this lady here. And not only am I in a safe space, now I can actually get some help on what to do. I have somebody that I can confide in. So tell us a little bit more about the project now. Like, what are some of the things you do?
Yeah, mostly it's still online. It's primarily an online platform. We just started relaunching some of our podcasts, and I do some question and answers, and I'm still working on improving that, and a YouTube. And then I'm all over social media and such. So the majority of the work is all right behind my computer and online. I do some speaking events too. I've worked with the AIDS Healthcare Foundation a couple of times, and
Okay.
so the biggest thing that's really taking the majority of my time right now is the Herpes Activist Network. So we just launched that in October. October is Herpes Awareness Month, or I'm sorry, Herpes Awareness Day is in October. And anyways, and so we launched this where we got, I brought 25 different activists from around the world, people who are also public about their status and talk about their experiences. Some of these are like YouTubers, life coaches, sexual health educators. We've got a chiropractor. I mean, people from all ends of wherever, right? Because STIs don't discriminate. They don't care. And they impact everyone from all different walks of life. So, we do have a pretty fair representation. We only have one male identifying person right now, specifically male identifying person, but we have women of color, women and a man of color, and we have a lot of women in the Hispanic community who represent the Hispanic community as well. So it's kind of nice because we do in different countries. We're in 7 different countries and 7 different time zones in 5 different countries from advocates. So anyways, I digress. But the point is that all of these folks are coming together with the same idea in mind, that we want to reduce stigma and we want to make the conversation, normalize it to some extent. I mean, we get that, like, I understand that sexuality in our bodies and intimacy and partnerships, and some of that does feel uncomfortable until that becomes a regular everyday conversation. And I don't even necessarily think it has to be a conversation that you have with everybody, but I just want to encourage people to feel good about asking for what they want, being able to say the no's and things that aren't going to fit for them, being able to explore, and that can change over time. You don't always have to have all the answers. You can try something out and then decide that it's not going to work. All of that. I just want people to be able to feel okay about making the decisions that are best for them and their partners, and to not feel like they have to have a certain kind of sex with a certain kind of person, a certain kind of way, a certain kind of time and duration and all of these things. Like, none of that actually makes a difference. Like, it's none of our business, and who cares? And as long as people are all consenting and happy and positive about it and there's benefit, then great. And then, yes, of course, there's risks involved. And so that's part of the work that we do. 50% of our traffic, we get about 300,000 views per month on the STD project. And 50% of our traffic are folks that aren't sure if they have an infection. So they're looking for information about like symptoms and testing. and prevention as well. And then the other 50% of folks are people who have been diagnosed with an infection. So they're looking for like, how do I tell a new partner? What should I do dating wise? Like, what does that mean? How do I digest this stigma, and how do I look at myself going forward? Whatever. So we kind of run the gamut. We do the factual information too, and help people to like know the risks and understand so that they can feel good about the decisions they're making, and they can just be empowered. And that's ultimately our overall goal, is to help people just feel good about their decisions and to not feel shameful about something that is just natural in human nature.
Well, you said it all basically. So how can we find you? How can we get involved? How can some of our people who might want that safe space, what is it that we can do so that they can get their questions answered and we can support you?
Yeah, there are a couple of different ways that you can like find the work that I'm doing and that we're doing. The stdproject.com is the main website. And then, like I said, I am all over social media on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and all the things. So I'm Janelle Marie Pierce or Tatted STD Warrior under Instagram. But if you did Janelle Marie Pierce, or if you found the stdproject.com, you'd be able to see all of our social media links. But then I'm also the spokesperson for Positive Single. So if you're interested in checking out dating with an STI, and then all of the herpes activists, like this is what's like really super cool to me about putting us all together and joining forces in this network, is that like not everybody is going to resonate with my tone or verbiage or my approach at this. And I think that you can advocate for yourself and others in a ton of different ways. There's no wrong way to do it, and there's no right way. Like it just, we're also very different who's impacted. So there's going to be different people who resonate with different folks, different messages that apply in different times in your life, where you might want somebody who's more like me. You might want somebody who's more about like all the natural and holistic approaches or whatever it is. So that's what's cool, is if you go to, if you look up the Herpes Activist Network, which is HANDS, HANDS, then you can find all of the different activists and find somebody who makes sense to you, like whose energy you like and who like you think is inspiring. And I say that too about social media, because social media can be a drag and it can be really much like an energy suck.
Overwhelming. And
oh my gosh,
that you have somebody who will actually listen to you, get what you're trying to do, and get what you're trying to say. And I did go to your website, and your website is amazing. It is so informative. It has so much stuff on it, and guys, I just encourage you to go visit the website. Please support her. Please take a look at everything that she's doing. I think I also saw where you can, get testing. I think I saw that on there. Yep. And so, these are the things that we want to talk about, guys. These are the things that we want to expose, because, it's real. And it's happening all over. And if you want to be able to be private and you want to be able to have that safe space where you can talk, the STD Project is a place where you want to go. I've seen her website. It's very professional. It's very clean. And of course, you can see that she is very informative at the same time. And I know that she can help you. And Janelle, thank you so much, because I just know that there are plenty of women who are living with things, who just, don't know where to start or who to talk to,
And it's traumatic. Like when you get diagnosed with an STI, folks aren't necessarily like, if somebody hasn't had that experience, when I tell them that people contemplate suicide sometimes, I mean, this really impacts your mental health, your self-esteem, your confidence, your image, your self-image. On such a level, and it truly does. Earlier, at the very beginning of your conversation, you were talking about trauma. I mean, this can very much be trauma and cause trauma and be a traumatic experience. And then it's so easy to feel like you're absolutely by yourself and you're the only one. And you get lost in that, I was lost for years and years. I mean, that's part of why I'm doing this work, is I'm trying to create resources that I needed, what I would have found helpful at that time. So yeah, I mean, that's the best thing I can say, is like, just to know that you're definitely not alone. And sometimes that sounds cliche because we hear that in a lot of different aspects, but I mean, it's very much true. And like, it does not have to impact you. I mean, I have never actually even experienced rejection as a result of having an STI. That's not everyone's experience. People do end up getting no's and things when they disclose. But I mean, I have had such a positive experience talking to people about it. And like, in a lot of ways, it's benefited me, like granted, I get active outbreaks, right? So my actual experience with the symptoms itself is a little bit obnoxious,
Right.
but if I could like cure it without there being any side effects whatsoever, then I absolutely would. But if there were some huge risk, then I would be like, nah, I'll just keep my herpes.
Right.
And it's like, who says that,
Right.
But I'm
right.
like, oh, that's me. Like, yep, I'm that person. So, I mean, I guess that's the experience. So yeah, if I can impart that on anyone and let people know that it'll be all right. And there are tons of people talking about it. But it's just finding those people, your tribe, people who will uplift you, and not this competition thing, of women against women. And we're always doing our highlight reels on social media, and that can really be let down if you forget that, like, no, these are just everybody's best moments. We all are struggling with something, and we all feel shame around and trauma around something. I mean, almost everybody by the time they're in their middle, like 30s, have had some sort of awful traumatic experience that they're working through. It sounds really depressing, but I mean, in some ways that's true. Together.
Yeah, it's true. And Janelle, I just thank you, because I'm like, it is just so important just to have, like I said, that safe space. And like I tell everybody who comes on here, the world needs you. What you're doing right now is you're living on purpose. And because you're living on purpose, you're passionate. And because you're passionate, you will really actually help somebody. And when you actually help somebody, then you can see just one person at a time, you can change the world. And you're already doing that, And
Likewise.
And it's so easy, and it's just so easy to do once you get started, but it's hard to maintain because you realize how big it is and how many people need your help. But then that's okay, because the right people come along to help you, to get on board, to help you fulfill your vision. So I thank you for just putting it out there, and I just thank you for living your truth and living on purpose, and really just being a voice to, to people who need that safe space. So definitely, if there's anything that you need, we would definitely support you. We're going to put your links out there. We're going to let everybody know to go to the stdproject.com. Go ahead and take a look at everything that's going on. And her name is Janelle Marie Pierce. Ladies, okay? So Janelle, thank you so much for being here. I really, really, really appreciate it. And for real, I want you, you could send me all of your stuff. I think I have it already inside of my email. But we will definitely put this out there and definitely get the word out for you, okay?
Cool. Love it. Absolutely. Thank you so much. My absolute pleasure. Really appreciate it. And thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. I'll see ya.
See ya.
All right. Bye.